To my son's future wife, thank you. You do not know me yet. At least, not in the way a daughter knows the woman who raised the man she loves. Perhaps one day we will sit together at a quiet table with warm tea between our hands, and I will smile as I watch the way my son looks at you. Before that day arrives, there is something I have carried inside my heart for many years. Something I have whispered into countless silent nights while praying for his happiness. I simply want to say thank you. Not because you owe me anything, not because loving him will always be easy, but because somewhere in this world, long before our paths were ever meant to cross, you became part of the prayers of a mother who only wanted one thing: that her son would someday find someone who could see the beautiful soul hidden behind his quiet smile. When my son was little, he never asked for much. While other children wanted toys, louder celebrations, or bigger dreams, he always found joy in the smallest things. I remember one rainy afternoon, when he was no older than 7. We were walking home with only one umbrella between us. We passed an elderly man sitting alone at a bus stop, completely soaked by the rain. Before I could even say a word, my son gently handed him our umbrella. I looked at him in surprise. "What about us?" I asked. He smiled, with that innocent smile only children possess. "We can still get wet, Mum," he said softly. "He looks colder than we do." That day, I realized I was not simply raising a boy. I was watching kindness choose him. Years passed, but his heart never changed. Life, however, did. There were days when the world rewarded his goodness, but there were also days when it punished him for it. People often mistook his gentleness for weakness. They believed that because he spoke quietly, he would never defend himself. They assumed that because he forgave easily, he forgot easily. They were wrong. My son remembered every disappointment. He simply refused to let bitterness become part of who he was. Many nights I found him sitting alone after everyone else had gone to sleep. The house would be silent, except for the ticking clock in the hallway. I would quietly sit beside him without saying anything. Sometimes silence is the greatest language between a mother and her child. After a long pause, he would finally whisper, "Mom, do you think being kind makes life harder?" My heart broke every time he asked. I wanted to tell him that kindness always wins. But mothers know better than to offer beautiful lies. Instead, I held his hand and answered honestly, "Sometimes it does." He looked down at the floor. "So why should I stay kind?" I smiled through tears. "Because the world already has enough people who hurt others. Don't let pain convince you to become one of them." He never answered. He simply squeezed my hand, and somehow I knew he understood. If you are listening to me today, then perhaps you already know that quiet strength inside him. Perhaps you have already noticed the way he remembers little things you casually mention, the way he listens more than he speaks, the way he apologizes even when life has been unfair to him. Those things are not accidents. They are pieces of the little boy I once tucked into bed every night. There is something I hope you will always remember about him. He carries his emotions differently than most people. He does not shout when he is hurting. He grows quieter. He does not ask others to rescue him. He convinces himself he must carry every burden alone. Even as a child, he wanted to protect everyone else's heart before his own. One evening after school, I noticed tears in his eyes. "Did someone hurt you?" I asked. He quickly wiped his face. "No." "But you're crying." "I'm just tired." A mother knows the difference. Later I learned another child had been laughing at him for standing up for someone everyone else ignored. He never defended himself. He defended the lonely child instead. That was my son. And I wondered if one day someone would defend him with the same courage. Maybe that someone is you. If that is true, then thank you. Thank you for seeing the gentle man beneath the quiet surface. Thank you for recognizing that real strength is not found in loud voices or proud victories. Sometimes real strength looks like forgiveness. Sometimes it looks like patience. Sometimes it simply looks like staying when leaving would be easier. There may come a day when he doubts himself. Please remind him of who he is, not because he is weak, because even the strongest hearts become tired. I spent years reminding him that he was enough. One day that responsibility will no longer belong only to me. It will belong to the woman who chooses to walk beside him. I do not ask you to be perfect, neither is he. He will make mistakes. He will become distracted by responsibilities. Sometimes he will hide his worries behind an ordinary smile because he never wants the people he loves to carry his burdens. Please don't mistake his silence for distance. Sometimes silence is simply how he survives difficult days. Sit beside him. Hold his hand. Tell him, you don't have to carry everything alone. Those words may heal wounds he never learned to describe. As his mother, I have watched him lose things that mattered deeply to him. Dreams, friendships, pieces of his own confidence. Each loss changed him. Yet somehow, every heartbreak made him more compassionate, instead of more cruel. I used to wonder how one heart could survive so much disappointment without becoming hard. Then I realized something beautiful. Love had always been stronger inside him than pain. That is why I believe in him. And that is why, wherever you are today, I already feel grateful for you. Because if he chooses you, it will never be for your perfection, your beauty, or your success. He will choose you because your heart feels like home. He has never searched for someone to impress the world. He has always searched for someone with whom he could finally rest. If one day he looks at you with tears in his eyes and quietly says, "Thank you for staying," please understand those words carry a lifetime of meaning. They are spoken by a little boy who once wondered if kindness was worth keeping. They are spoken by a young man who learned that loving deeply sometimes means hurting deeply. And they are spoken by a son whose greatest dream was never to become extraordinary. His greatest dream was simply to be loved without pretending to be someone else. If you become the woman who gives him that gift, then no words I ever speak will truly be enough. But until the day we finally meet, I will continue carrying one quiet prayer inside my heart. May you always see the goodness he sometimes forgets to see in himself. May your love become the peaceful place where his weary heart can finally rest. And may you always know that long before you ever held his hand, a mother was already thanking you. Sometimes I wonder if you will ever truly understand how many versions of my son existed before you met him. You will know the man who smiles when you walk into the room. You will know the man who quietly reaches for your hand without saying a word. You will know the man who notices when you are tired before you admit it yourself. But there were so many seasons that shaped him before your love ever found him, and I hope that by sharing them with you, you will understand why I thank you with every corner of my heart. There was a time when he believed love was something you had to earn by sacrificing pieces of yourself. I remember the day he came home after his first real heartbreak. He did not slam the door. He did not raise his voice. He simply walked into the kitchen, smiled at me as though everything was normal, and asked if I had eaten dinner. A mother can hear pain even when it is hiding behind kindness. After we finished eating, I found him standing outside, staring at the night sky. I walked beside him and gently asked, "Do you want to tell me what happened?" He was quiet for so long that I thought he hadn't heard me. Then he whispered, Mom, why is loving someone sometimes not enough? There are questions that no mother is ever prepared to answer. I looked at his face, and for a moment I saw the little boy who used to run into my arms after falling off his bicycle. Back then I could kiss a scraped knee and make the pain disappear. But this wound was hidden inside his heart, and no embrace could erase it. I placed my hand on his shoulder. "My son," I said softly, "sometimes love is enough. But two people must both choose it every day. One heart cannot carry a relationship alone." He nodded without looking at me. "I wasn't angry," he said. "I was just wondering what I did wrong." Those words stayed with me long after that night. He always searched for faults within himself before blaming anyone else. That is one of the most beautiful parts of his heart. It is also one of the reasons I worried about him. Because people with gentle souls often carry burdens that never belong to them. If you ever notice him apologizing for things beyond his control, please remind him that not every storm is his responsibility. Tell him that sometimes people leave not because he was unworthy, but because life writes stories we cannot understand while we are living them. There is another memory I want to give you. It was my birthday, though I had forgotten it myself. Money was tight that year, and I expected nothing more than a quiet evening together. He disappeared for several hours. When he returned, he carried a tiny flower in one hand and a folded piece of paper in the other. "I couldn't buy you a gift," he said with an embarrassed smile. "You already are my gift," I replied. He laughed softly. "No, Mom. Every birthday deserves something." The flower had been picked from the edge of an old walking path. The paper was filled with words he had written by hand. He thanked me for every bedtime story, for every meal that appeared on difficult days, for every time I believed in him before he believed in himself. I still keep that letter. Its edges have become worn with time, but every sentence still carries the warmth of his heart. That is who he has always been. He believes gratitude should never remain unspoken. If one day he thanks you for making coffee, for waiting up when he works late, or simply for sitting beside him after a difficult day, please never think those words are ordinary. He says them because he means them. He has always understood that love lives inside the smallest gestures. As the years passed, I watched him become quieter. Not colder, just quieter. Life has a way of teaching gentle people to protect the places where they have been hurt. Sometimes he laughed less than he used to. Sometimes I would hear him playing music alone late at night, sitting in the dark with nothing but memories for company. I wanted to ask him what weighed so heavily on his heart. Instead, I would simply leave a cup of tea outside his door. A few minutes later, he would open it and smile. "Thanks, Mum." No long conversation, no dramatic moment. Just love expressed without demanding explanations. That is something I hope you will always remember. You do not always have to solve his pain. Sometimes your quiet presence will mean more than perfect words ever could. Sit beside him. Let silence become a place where both of you can breathe. He will understand. One afternoon, not long ago, we were driving together. The road stretched endlessly before us, and neither of us spoke for several miles. Finally, he broke the silence. "Mum?" "Yes?" "Do you think there's someone out there who will understand me without asking me to become someone else?" I smiled, because I had been waiting for that question for years. "I don't know when you'll meet her," I answered, "but I believe she exists." He laughed quietly. "You're always hopeful." "No," I said. "I'm simply your mother. Believing in your happiness is part of who I am. He reached over and squeezed my hand for just a moment before returning it to the steering wheel. Neither of us said another word. We didn't need to. Hope had already spoken. Perhaps that conversation was about you. Perhaps, without knowing your name, we were already talking about the woman who would someday become his safest place. If that woman is truly you, then I hope you understand something important. He does not need someone who will rescue him. He needs someone who will walk beside him. Celebrate with him when life is beautiful. Stay beside him when life becomes unbearably heavy. Laugh with him over ordinary mornings. Cry with him during impossible nights. Grow older with him without ever letting kindness become ordinary. That is the kind of love he has always deserved. As his mother, I know there will come a day when he no longer calls me first with every piece of good news. There will be another voice he longs to hear before mine. There will be another hand he reaches for before reaching for mine. Some mothers fear that day. I never will. Because that is not losing a son. That is watching the greatest prayer of my life come true. The little boy whose hand once fit inside mine will place that same hand inside yours. And when he does, I hope you feel the years of love, hope, sacrifice, and quiet prayers that helped shape the man standing before you. Take care of that hand. It has wiped away tears. It has lifted others when they had fallen. It has carried burdens without complaint. And someday, I pray, it will grow old while holding yours. If that future becomes real, then every sleepless night, every whispered prayer, every sacrifice I made as his mother will have been worth it. Because the greatest gift a mother can receive is not wealth, success, or recognition. It is knowing that her son has finally found a love where he can rest, where he can be completely himself, and where his heart is cherished exactly as it is. And for that, my dear, before we have even met, thank you.